Just a Thought, a show that starts with a simple premise and explores how different people view different subjects. The greatest philosophies, the most revolutionary changes, and the greatest inventions. And all of them started with just a thought.
What's happening, good people, good people? Thank you for this Sunday. Normally we'll come to you on Friday, but Mickey was gracious enough to let us come and talk to the good folks on this good Sunday. If you have joined us before, a couple of house rules, you know the deal. Make sure you are marked P for present by hitting that like button. If you have not already done so, don't know why you wouldn't. Have Go ahead and subscribe, and then most importantly, we want you to share, share. Uh, I am one of your hosts, Yogi G, and to my left, maybe your right, is the good sister Ana. Uh, Super excited for you here today and to share what's happening in the 202 to our 810 family. So I'll start it off how we normally do. What it do from the 202? This good old Sunday. Ana, go ahead and talk to the people.
Oh Lord, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, I got my famous two glasses on, Yogi. Well, I want to apologize for us on Friday. You know, we're moms. A lot of stuff is going on in DC, and we had to take care of our business. And sometimes it is what it is. We got to take care of our business. Um, Make sure, because in reality, if we don't take care of our business, no one else is. I don't know about you, Yogi G. I'm a single mom, divorced twice. So I'm out here raising these two girls on my own. So I got to prioritize my kids. So please forgive us or forgive me for Friday, 7 o'clock. But you want to tell us why we have just a thought on A10? You're muted.
I see. So the reason that we're on 202, Mickey and Trevor will tell you is because 810 is nationwide. And while we agree with that, we also want to note that there are a lot of things that are happening in the nation's capital, which is the business of everyone. That look a lot like what we're seeing in Flint, Michigan. And because I know we have family from all over the place here on this wonderful 810 News Media Group platform, uh, I think that we all can agree that, as Mickey would say, wherever there's poor people, wherever there's poor black people, there are certainly problems. So that's why we're here on uh, 810 News Media Group. What's happening, 704 Charlotte Bound News and Sports? Good evening to you, and welcome to the chat. I know we saw Winters, man, listen, Mickey gave me a hard time because I was late. And I saw you in the chat, and we thank you for being on time here in the chat. And we're gonna get it together.
And Brother Elliot is on.
What to do, brother Elliot? Thank you for joining us as always. The family. Make sure y'all check out. Of course, you're gonna check out Morning Bump, but also make sure you check out Conspiracy Theory. It's one of my favorites in Black Watch with our own producer in the background today, Mr. Spacely Sprockets, aka Otis. Out here
You,
helping us. Like, yeah, we gotta get a shout out to Otis. Hey, pay the producer, man. Y'all know what to do.
people thinking they late. No, we late.
We the late ones, man. Y'all on time. Go
So
ahead.
So this week I went to man, let me stop eating this damn cookie. That's how you know I want some sugar. Ooh, I'm having cravings for sugar. Anyway, this week went to go see Labor Day, went to go to the African American Museum, and because the word is that they have a new curator and a lot of things might be changed, and so me and Yogi G decided let's get out there. We're gonna start visiting more museums. So we went on Monday. We got in there around 11 o'clock. I will suggest that you come see the African American Museum, but I will not suggest that you eat all the food at the African American Museum because it's not that good. Anyway, it was hilarious. But I do have a video that shows you one of the when you go into the Lord, did I say the movie? When you go into the museum and you're walking through, they do have. And so I just want to share with you why people are getting on a video from the museum. Mickey, can you put that video on? You can stop it, Mickey. That is just a little video of that I recorded when I was walking through. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience, and then Yogi G, you can go into your experience. Uh, I've been to the museum several times, but there was the funny part was that I've never been upstairs because every time I went to the museum, they're rushing you because it's always packed. And so this time Yogi G showed me that they were upstairs floors that I could go to. So I was like, gosh, I've been here, didn't know. And so when I went upstairs, it was amazing. It was amazing. The different genres and years from the base, the concourses. The concourse or the lower level is the level where you go through, and it actually makes you feel like you're in a ship. It's real dark, and it shows you from the 1500s all the way up to present time. But the thing that stood out for me was Emmett Till's room and the message that his mother wrote on there. And I can't quote it, so I'm not going to say it, but basically what she was saying, what we always say, sometimes it's happening somewhere else, it doesn't affect us. And that stood with me as a mother of her. We always see things going on, but sometimes we don't worry because it's not happening in our backyard. And so people are just saying the reason why I wanted to go to this museum because it's time for us to worry about everyone's backyard, not just ours. Go ahead, Yogi G.
Yeah, like we know, we talked about this before that we are experiencing challenges with us being a city that wants to be a state that only has limited power through the Home Rule Act. I'll go over it once again. About 1973 in Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia specifically was given home rule. It really was just because the people who were on the control board back then that were made up of different representatives of Congress that made decisions specifically for the day-to-day services of DC. We're tired of hearing our complaints as a city. And so they said, you know what, we're going to give them what they want because people were absolutely advocating for home rule. And they gave us minimal results, if you will. We are able to elect who our mayor is. We're able to elect all 13 forms of council members. That's consistent of 8 people who represents our wards 1 through 8, and 4 at-large members that help to create the balance, diversity balance for our council. And then we're able to vote for people that are known as our ANC commissioners. Those are our advisory neighborhood committees or commissioners. And those are simply our people who are boots to the ground that have different districts within one ward to be able to echo and have a relationship with the mayor's office, ideally in council, so that we can get some kind of democracy happening. But also in that, what we do not have as a city that wants to be a state is autonomy of deciding where our dollars go. If you have been following us for a while, you know that we talked often about how the Congress took away $1 billion in federal funding from our budget, which put us in a crisis because we needed that money. It was all accounted for. That's how we run our schools. That's how we keep our streets safe. And even for this safety thing that kicked this whole jam and shabam out, we need money for that. And so being as though we do not have it, we are desperately looking for ways to be able to replace that loss. But also, you remember we was just talking about not too long ago before this happened, that our mayor and our council magically found $1 billion for this brand new goddamn stadium that they were talking about bring the Commanders home. And now look at us, all fighting for us to stay at home while they're trying to bring the Commanders home. But that has nothing to do specifically with the museum outside of now Donald Trump thinks that the African American Museum is too woke. Just went to the museum in July, like the lunch counter, the simulation of the slave ship. And Mickey wouldn't let me be great. He didn't leave that up there. So Felicia Martinez, blame it on Otis. Slave ship was very interesting. Mickey just trying to embarrass me. He know my reading skills are not up to par. I went to school in DC. How dare he? But yes, Felicia, it is an experience that you need to have if you have never been to the African American Museum. The structure of the museum is replicated so that you are living the experience. When you go to the bottom, which talks about the transition of slavery, it is a very tight fit. You are closer than close to neighbors that you didn't know you were going to get to know. And then as you go throughout the museum, it gets a little more spacious, a little more lighthearted, and they do end you with a nice little reflective pool. So I highly recommend. 8 out of 10, highly recommend. Not the food so much, but if you want the full experience, you can tell us how you like it if you ever come to DC. So yeah, that's my review on that, Anna.
So I also went back on, I can't remember. That was Thursday or Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I went to go run an errand, and then we went back into the African American Museum because I bought this little lunch kettle. Yogi G saw this lunch kettle, and reminds me of my beatbox back in the day. And so my buddy was like, I want the earrings. So Yogi G, we went back, but they didn't have the earrings for Yvette to get. So she took me to a room that wasn't open when I went with you. We ran in there and ran back out. And Mickey, do you see that last video I just sent you?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll put it up.
I've never been in this room, and I tell you, when I went into this room, you probably been in there, Yogi G. I just never been in there. And when I went into this room, it was an experience. Of course, I say something crazy in the video, but it's just a quick room. And I was meditating and the writing on the walls were very interesting. And then from there, we went to the American Museum real quick, ran through there because I wanted to see the Latino. Go ahead, play it. I wish this motherfucker Trump would leave us the fuck alone. As you can hear me complaining, because the writing on the walls were just, I don't know. But when you go in that room, literally when you walk into the African American Museum, you can actually see it from the outside when you're walking in. And that room, have you been in that room, Yogi G, before?
Several times.
Okay. That room right there, I was sitting there and I was just meditating, and it was just like, never been in that room, and it was oh, okay. It was very interesting in that room, and of course Trump's name comes up, so that's about it. But I went to the American Museum real quick. I asked her, she's like, have you saw the Latino? Man, they took it, they basically have it blocked off. I know it's done by design to block it off, but they had a lot of Puerto Rican history in the American Museum, but they have actually closed the exhibit. That museum is boring. I don't know about you, Yogi G, if you've been to the American Museum. In my opinion, it was just boring. But anyway, keep it going. Go ahead, Yogi G.
All right, but that's a little bit about our travels. I just want to say that here in DC, y'all know the deal. If you don't, catch a couple of our shows, we'll tell you how we got into this takeover mess. We are now in day, I don't know, Trump dumptopia takeover. I think that we're coming up
48 hours to go.
48 hours to go before we find out if we got our freedom papers.
48 hours to know if Congress will. Did you?
Go ahead.
I think you just went out. But anyway, 48 hours before we'll know if Congress is going to keep this going.
Right. So we got a few things that have been happening since the last time we talked. Mickey, I don't know if you see that video with our mayor that I sent you. If you can cue that up for me. No, that's not the mayor. That's the march.
Just came through. I got you. I'm finna put it up.
Okay. So our mayor has been catching some flack because a lot of people have been mad at the way that that's not our mayor, that's our congresswoman. It's the first one I sent you before the march. We're gonna get to her. She's a great conversation and a great time. But our mayor, we if you know the term Chocolate City, Nikki has said it from time to time. I know we're no longer Chocolate City. We are a gentrified capital of the District of Columbia, but we are still ran by a Black woman mayor. And this has come out maybe last week, and so this is her how she feels about how we're doing as a city. So I'm gonna let y'all hear and then see what y'all think.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason. We greatly appreciate you
coming to traumatize our communities, continue to isolate our communities, continue to let people rob us of our neighbors, being kidnapped, not knowing where they're going. We're grateful for that. Those are the words of Anna's mayor, King Cooper Bowser. And when she put this out in the press conference, I imagine, did you see the confidence that's coming from her as she's saying this wonderful thing? Well, I could tell you the community didn't like it, and they ate that ass up in them comments and been eating that ass up ever since. So before I get into my own commentary, I just want to know from the chat, if you had a mayor that recently was just telling you about how egregious it is that we're going through this takeover, and they sued the government, the federal government, for our right to run our metropolitan police department, and told us that they were in charge of the girls, and now we're grateful for it, would you trust that person to reelect them for 2026? Because that's what's happening in these streets. They're saying that she's gonna run again for the 2026 because she doesn't want anybody else to get that credit for that RFK Stadium. So while we let the chat figure it out, Anna, you got something to say on this?
That's what happens. You forget that you're muted. Honestly, just for the thought, not necessarily my personal feelings, but just from the thought I hear from different people in the community that I be around. I will say, for my neighbors to say, I feel safe. I will say my personal feeling when I hear people saying they feel more safe, I feel offended. And people say, well, why would you feel offended? Because why are you saying you feel more safe since this happened? Because there's less of Black and brown people walking the street. That's how I feel. That is the reason why you say you feel safe. And then the second part of it is, we're not really out and about like we usually are. And so like today I took my daughter to go right after I dropped Yogi G. We went to the farm, a little neighborhood garden. I call it the farm, but it's a little neighborhood garden. And I went to Union Station, and I said, man, I'm not going to go to Union Station. So I parked my car and I take my daughter in there so she can get her tickets, because she goes to school in Maryland. And so she takes the MARC train out of Union Station. And so we went in there and got her tickets. I was talking to the lady. And when I walked out, because now at Union Station, you have to be 18 to go into the platform where the Amtrak and the MARC train and where the stores are. The youth can't go there. So we're walking through there. And of course, we see the soldiers walking back and forth. And it doesn't make me feel safe. But what it does make me feel is that two things. From what I hear from the community is they feel safe, but then I also feel like, is she, do they have something on her and like, we don't know, and this is why she's doing what she's doing? But I be saying, well, how come she don't blink her eye like this and say, give us a hint, that something serious is going on and she has no control. But then you remember Yogi G, she went to Mar-a-Lago prior to Trump even being president. So she made some deals and she made huge mistakes, in my opinion. So even if we say, okay, well, Trump has so much power, she really has no say. Why would you go to Florida and tell this man that the federal workers and you're losing all this revenue in downtown, to give him pretty much a heads up on what the city so-called needed? And with her saying all these things to him ahead of time, he used it against her. So all these federal workers were forced to come back in when they know they didn't have office spaces. And then all he did was a way to justify to fire them because there was no office spaces. And then to justify, which y'all already know, the continuation. But the second part of that I would say with Muriel Bowser's conversation, to me, in my opinion, as Anna, I find it very offensive because being a brown person, when you could sit here and allow sanctuary city status to be taken away, and you're cheering on about RFK, about the Commander Stadium, and the very people that you have next to you when you're voting, because Ward 4 has a lot of brown people, and she's from Ward 4. These people, voted for her, and they do a lot. And to see that the city's not a sanctuary city no more, I can't blame who. I don't know if it's Trump or if she signed it, so I have to do more research on that. But it's offensive being a brown person and to hear your mayor say that she likes what's going on. Now I don't know about the black youth. I know y'all heard Trump say that black boys and black girls are criminals. So Yogi G, how do you feel with this mayor going on the way she is?
So, and Mickey, before you start trying to embarrass me and put that thing down, let me read it all the way out. Mark Hutchinson, first and foremost, brother, thank you for joining us in the chat, and I always appreciate your insight. I can see that you look at it from both sides of the aisle, and I'm here to meet you where you are. And he said, do y'all leave room to consider that your mayor is playing chess? DC is not a state. Trump can do whatever he wants in DC. She may be just running out the clock. She may be saving y'all from a takeover. Now, Mark, I will meet you where you are. And I do admit, as I went through the trouble of explaining why DC is screaming taxation without representation and also free DC, it is because we have limited power, even with us having the Home Rule Act to give us autonomy to be able to act as a state, but not have the security of states and cities like Chicago. That being said, I do agree with you in that sense that there are maybe some things that she is doing or agreeing to that are keeping them at bay from a full takeover. And so, I do acknowledge that. I think that the anger that is being expressed from the community comes from the lack of reassurance that she has given us prior to this takeover. If you get an opportunity to check out some of her greatest hits, as she's addressed us as a community, it has not been good. It has been very much egregious and circle centered. It is like, and when I say circle centered, I mean like those who rock with her get her respect and get her attention. I would still never, ever, ever forget how we had a family who had tragically lost, and I know this is personable to Anna, but a family that had lost. What's going on, Spring Hair? Thank you for joining us. We had a family that lost at least 3 to 4 young men to gun violence, all of their sons. And they had lost one of their youngest ones who was coming home from school to one of our train stations. He stopped, he saw a group of friends to say hello. Things erupted, and unfortunately, this young man lost his life. What the family was looking for was some kind of comfort from the city to say that they were invested in them as a family that has had multiple tragedies at the helm of the lack of safety in some of our areas and supports. And so a news reporter asked her straight out, we know that they said that we know that the father of this young man has been trying to get in contact with you. And he has expressed that he has yet to hear from your office. And we want to know if you will be reaching out to speak with the family. And she said one answer that can stand as a sentence: no. I think that that's pretty heartless, especially with you being a Black woman that has a child. And you utilize that quite often to tell us that you are relatable and how community centered you are, that you're a mother. But the reality is you are a wealthy Black woman, as Mickey and Brother Elliot would refer to, as you are a part of the Boule crowd. You spend most of your time outside of the city versus in the city because we know you like to go to Martha's Vineyard. And the least you can do, especially during this time of takeover, is find ways. While you may be challenged with being able to stand 10 toes down on saying that what we're not going to do as a city because we're limited in power, you still have the responsibility of comforting your community, especially your Black community. And here's another sticking point, Mark, that I just like to mention. She went through all of the effort to assure us that she was still in charge of the girls. If you've ever seen Harlem Nights, you know that Delta Reach. Are you in charge of the girls? I am in charge of the girls. So she said she was in charge of the girls, which is the Metropolitan Police Department. And I think that we have showed you guys time and time again that it is our very own police officers that she is in charge of that have constantly been going to our neighborhoods, doing illegal searches, rounding up our youth without conversation, and being the starters and they carry out under her guidance and her orders some of the atrocities that you are not seeing on national news. So would I be one? I was never one that was going to be voting for her in the beginning. But does this strengthen her case as a mayor for that election in 2026? I don't know. I can tell you the temperament in the city is definitely changing. But she's not the only problem that we have or problematic person that we have, as we'll get into that next. But I see that Brother
Brother
Elliott
Elliot.
also,
Okay, cool. I was about to
yeah,
say you gonna read his thing.
yeah. So Brother Elliott, I think he had two comments. Um,
Well, the
Special
one I
slash Otis, will you put it up? Go ahead, Anna.
a sellout for the people and only for business owners and no service to the people. You got that right, brother Elliot. A sellout for the people, only for businesses, and that is the truth. Because, like I said a minute ago, when we hear our neighbors, and I'm not talking about black and brown neighbors saying they feel safe, they're the ones out here all day walking like nothing's going on, and we're the ones feeling the anxiety and the pressure. And people will say, "Well, it's not that serious. Crime is down." Excuse me. I don't know about you, Yogi G. We didn't need them here, but we still have crime. We have 30 girls missing right now in DC. And the last time I heard, the mayors and the MPD put it out and said it was a hoax. But now in Prince George County, we have lots of girls missing. And if you start looking, every city is having more than 20 people missing, young people, boys, girls, white, black, brown, missing, a lot of children missing. On top of that, I feel with her saying that we're more safe, we're not. Because right now, when these individuals come in our street, we don't even know if they're real ICE agents or real Homeland Security investigators. We don't know if they're MPD. We don't know anything because they just caught several people. I didn't get the video up. Several people, real talk. They're literally buying uniforms off of Amazon, looking like ICE agents and taking people. And it's not funny. It is not funny. And so when I hear people say, we need this because they took our job. Excuse me, what job did they take? Because the last time I checked, those are the jobs that we feel we're overqualified to do. And that's real talk. Because I don't know about you, Yogi G, but I ain't going to no farm. So I got to fight for my freedom because I can't be out there. Yes, we went to that garden today and we was out there for a minute getting them good vegetables. But all I kept thinking about, them bugs biting me. It's time to go. So I don't know about you. Not all people that came from over there got jobs like that. And I understand. And believe me, I understand. But reality is that the hate that we have for others can sometimes imprison us. And I feel that's what's going on with us right now, because this is a class takeover.
Let me, Brother Mark got something to say, and I'm here for it. Let me see that. I see y'all setting a Marianne Barry standard for the sister. You are expecting too much. You need a Marianne Barry in times like these. She ain't that, but I do think she's doing the best she can. Mark, listen, I'm agreeing. I don't know if you hear me or not, right? Like, I'm meeting you where you are and saying that she is limited in how she can show up. We would like for her to show up like the mayor from Chicago, who is now utilizing resources to create live barriers. They are activating or have activated. They have their salt trucks lined up at the city, different city entry points to keep ICE out of their city. They are now unifying their teachers to be able to keep everybody safe. So there is a system that is happening. We don't have that autonomy here in DC. And to be quite clear, listen, if you really want my opinion on it, I'm gonna have to look in the camera in this one. Marion Barry, in some elements of his reign, and I could take the heat for it later on because I got the facts to prove it wasn't shit for us either. Okay. So no, Yolanda is not. Yogi G is not sitting up here trying to create any standard for anybody to meet Marion Barry. Marion Barry was good, and he's a good example of what we need to keep our community centered in the forefront of politics. But for what we have going on right now, what I talked to was the fact that the things that you do have control over, King Cooper Bowser, you're not doing the job of keeping your community calm and safe. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, we're gonna get to Brother Elliot, and then we're gonna hop over to the next one because we got multiple players in this band and jam here. So Brother Elliot said the issue is that they are there to cause people to be fearful and are there to instigate something if they have an opportunity to. Listen, man, people who are most impacted in the most inequitable way can feel that more than somebody that has at least the boots with the bootstraps to pull yourself up here in DC. We have talked time and time again since we started on this platform about the inequities that we're seeing when it comes to the distribution of wealth, the distribution of care and accessibility to that, and the sustainability just for someone who is born in the District of Columbia specifically to be able to maintain being an asset to your own city. And that comes from a deficit in our educational space. When you're talking about your 12th graders who are preparing to go to college, who are barely reading at a third grade level, and you're talking about 4 decades of this behavior happening specifically for your Black and brown population at the helm of Black leadership, I think we're connecting the dots here, Mark. And whether you agree to disagree on this one, as always, as I said it from the beginning, I'm always here for a sidebar, a good conversation. I'm a forever learner. But when it comes to my city and how I've seen my people be treated by our people, and I mean the people who share this same melanin that I got, I can't rock with it. It makes my Uncle Ruckus get a little stronger. And then that nick word starts to come out. And so because I want to make sure that 810 doesn't get dinged and that nick, the word don't come out my mouth, we're going to transition into another one that could possibly have nick to come out my mouth. We're going to talk about our representation in the Congress because we do have one, believe it or not. We may not have a vote, but we do have somebody that's there. And there's been some hot conversation in the community about that. So, Mickey, if you would do us the honors of putting that up for us so we can educate the people about who this lovely woman is.
Thank you very much.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I stand with the ACLU and all of you here today to say no to President Trump's authoritarian takeover of my community of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much.
It's a brief little thing. No more to play. All right, listen. So here's the deal. Just in case you think I'm just a Joe Schmo that's coming up on here to wrap your ear off for about an hour, I am currently a student at Trinity Washington College, and my major is journalism and media strategies. And so with that, I do understand the power of media and how it can be used to misconstrue certain narratives. And in this particular video that I showed you, if you saw the title, it says 88-year-old Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton announces that she is seeking to run again for this seat. Now, her reasoning for her running again is that she has earned seniority. She has been in there since I think about 1995. And her net worth of $2.something billion or $1 million says that she's put in some work and some time, maybe on selfish reasons, maybe because she was a part of the civil rights movement. I don't know. I can't say. I'm just saying that's what her net worth is. And then, but the thing in the streets is that it's time for her to move on and release the mantle. And one thing we know about Congress and the Thunderdome is what I've been calling it, is that they don't like to give up those seats too much. They would prefer to die in it than give it up to new blood. And I'm not quite sure that I am here for the excuse or the reasoning that it's because of your seniority. I would think that your seniority will work just as well if we got somebody that's a little more in tune and in touch with the people. And I also will say, just so I'm being quite transparent, I got a little beef with that old woman because she tried to run my ass off the streets in her little BMW, and you got the nerve to have your name on your license plate. So personally, from Yogi G to Eleanor, you gotta come see me. We'll say why, and Mark said, why in the good Lord's name said y'all vote or did y'all vote for a 90-year-old? She cannot represent you at this point in her life. Great woman, but she is 99. Why did y'all do that? Now, Mark, I've been trying to meet you where you are. And the fact that you said y'all hurts my feelings. I just want you to know that. I don't know how we're gonna make it right, but I didn't vote for that. Okay. There was a wonderful brother that we are personally connected to that threw his hat in the ring last year, and that's where I went. I won't say his name because we don't talk about religion and politics. But yeah, that's where my heart was. Now, my thing is that DC, and I don't know if Flint or any other space, maybe the chat can let us know if you're dealing with this too. We got a thing called the old guards versus the new guards and the in-betweens. And the reason that this particular 90-year-old woman, as you said, Mark, has been repetitiously being elected into this space is because our old guards are literally doing what they do best, which is hold up space and hold the lines, gatekeeping, if you will. But I'll defer to Anna to see what her opinion is on it.
You talking about Eleanor, right?
For sure.
Okay. So when I first came to DC, I got to go back. When I first came to DC, I've always been into politics, and I'm all for not discriminating ageism and saying because people are older they should move out of position. But in this situation, it's been over 10 years I have been saying, why do y'all freaking fools keep voting this lady in? What has she done other than sit in a room with her sandals and her pants and put a dress up top and takes pictures? And we have too many politicians that always are ready for the camera. And last year was the first year that I could say that I saw someone that was running and it was Kimon, and I was happy for that. But the reality is, even him, when he was speaking to people to, saying that they were going to work with him, our black churches were sitting there saying, we're going to work with you. And then behind his back, we're sending emails to say we're all voting for Eleanor Norton, not knowing that he was one of the people on their group emails. And it was hilarious because here it is, the guy just got off the phone with him and he shared this with me. And the reality is that we have a lot of, like you said, gatekeepers, a lot of people in our community, a lot of the churches that are standpoints that are in our neighborhood that we trust, and they have officially let us down because I believe that church and state should be separate. That is my belief because of this, what's going on. We have someone in office that should not even be running again. Now, I don't know. People made excuses, said, I hear people saying, well, I'm a Democrat. And when you early vote, I guess you only have one person that's running and it's just her. And I said, yeah, but when November hits, you can go back in there and select another person. I don't care who you select. But why do y'all keep selecting her? And for her to say she's running again on what? I don't know, Yogi G, but for me, that irritates me anytime anyone talks about Eleanor Norton keep winning. Even when you got Gen Zs just voting for her, not even knowing why they vote. Because I'm a Democrat? Really? Is that how we voting? If we would have had, which is the thing that most people fight me with, ranked choice voting, there's good things for it and there's bad things for it. But in reality, this right here, she need to go. I'm sorry. She need to go. There is a couple people I hear that are out there saying they're going to run. I need more from you. I don't care if I high fived you. I don't care if we shook hands. I don't care if I hugged you. That doesn't necessarily mean you got my vote. You have to show the work, and the work is not every single time taking pictures. That's all I gotta say, Yogi G.
With brother Elliot and Mick say left wing, right wing, same bird. You know what I mean? It's all the same to me. Hey, Mickey, put that one up for Mark. Mark got jokes. He got jokes. He said, wait, I can't blame a 90-year-old for almost hitting you. BMW or a Pinto, you should have got out the way. Now, Mark, you trying to bring out a whole new side of me. I don't give a damn how old you are. If you can't see when you on that road, stay your ass in the house. And we got way too many scooters, bikes, and ooters for you to get on that can keep other people safe. I was doing my part. Okay, I'm young enough. My eyeballs were good enough. But what I didn't see is little Cruella coming up on my blind side trying to kill me and mine. So, nah, Mark. I'm gonna tell her that you're making a good lawyer for her. We're gonna send her your way. Matter of fact, we're gonna send her with Mark. Where you at? So we can send Eleanor down there so she can make life better for you and yours. Um, yeah, but just to kind of close out the conversation, and once again, chat, we are an interactive podcast here. So if you got anything you need to say or any questions you got, we are listening. When it comes to the old guards, the people, and when we say old guards, maybe Brother Elliot and Mick will cover this, or maybe we'll cover it. The old guards really have been problematic here because they have a certain way that they think the city should run. And I'm not saying I totally disagree with that, but it becomes problematic in times like these when you have the newer generation that's trying to get results and feeling really the brunt and the impact of it because they have not moved into the space where they're harming our seniors directly or anything like that. So we're not in that much of an egregious state, but it is definitely a different kind of outcry, especially when we talk about housing instabilities and now homelessness being criminalized. But before we even got here, we had a mayor that was already zeroing out all of our supports for homelessness, and now all of a sudden you got a place for them to go. It's just too many different cross sectors that's not connecting in community. And I'll
But
say
Yogi
this
G,
last.
wait a minute, real quick. But just before you leave that one point, what people don't recognize is that her budget forum last June, prior to Trump even getting in office, her whole thing was that people were not paying their rent. And she didn't want to put any funding or any monies to help people with housing. This is prior to Trump coming in. The same thing with complaining that the federal government workers were not in person. It was all about businesses and building single unit households, not people that look like us, because a lot of us either have one or two kids, or there's four of us or three of us or possibly seven of us. But you can't take a city that literally wasn't really made for a lot of people, but it is what it is. The unfortunate part, I'm sorry, Yogi G, is that Bowser started this before. And we're still making excuses, I'm sorry, for her reasoning because of Trump. And I think we give too much power to Trump. When we have mayors like the mayor in Baltimore and like the mayor in Chicago and like the governor of California speaking up, I don't make excuses for her. Yeah, I work where I work. But the unfortunate part is, why didn't you give us a warning that they were going to attack our black and brown children? That's my issue. You did not give any guidance at all.
Well, that's not true, Anna. She did say if you follow the law. I mean, that was her way
Whose
of
law?
telling her.
Whose law? Because technically they're not following the law.
You got me there. I have no response. Okay, I just wanted to highlight another. Now, I'll take the onus for this. I always say I try to keep it light because I got to work in these DC streets, but fuck it. Here we go. So we got another gatekeeper on the scenes, and not this person. We're going to talk about him, but before we get to him, he's not a gatekeeper. That's the mayor of Chicago. But this one, we don't have video for, but I just wanted to mention her name. For those who know, you know. We have a Cora Massarsbury, right? Now, since you mentioned Marionberry, not Anna choking, since you mentioned Marionberry, now his significant other, which as far as I knew in the timelines, wasn't his significant other when he passed away. So she lost that right maybe some years ago. Don't know, won't get into it. But she has been put up, especially in our Ward 8 spaces, which is still predominantly Black. So if you want to see a part of Chocolate City, go to the Anacostia area, you'll get what you're looking for. But she is now considered to be the elder of that community because of the legacy of her late separated husband. And some of the work that she's done too, but she's a political strategist. Like I looked at her bio and everything like that. So she's one of those people that would have been hanging at Martha's Vineyard, regardless if she had the legacy of being married, formerly married to one of our beloved mayors or the city's beloved mayor. And so she also is in her 80s. And so she's been doing her part to reenact her civil rights days, and it has been getting a mixed review in the community. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but like she has been choosing to go on some of our community leaders' Facebook pages, and she's been busy in the comments. Her Twitter fingers have been burning up, challenging people who have been giving their views on our mayor, who is a really good friend with her. And so I'm like, is that a good tactic when we're talking about uniting the community and uniting generations of people that you go and you attack them? And so what she has been in the habit of doing is just really like, first of all, you're disrespecting a Black woman. How dare you put down a Black woman? And she's the mayor, she's doing the best she can. And then she'll rant off and then just be like, well, what would you do? And then you don't hear no more from her in the comments. So I'm just wondering if it were you and you were trying to unite generations that were at odds about how they view their city, is that a good tactic for a person to use to connect community? I'm not sure about it. Yeah. IFG1 said, it seems we need to know the people that we are needing to back. You better say that. You better do your research. Y'all better stop betting on Black, because Black is whack around here. It been kicking us in the ass, and we've been under Black reign since what, 1976, maybe 73 when we got home rule. We've had a Black mayor in every term, and not to say we haven't progressed. Certainly, we're not dealing with the major inequities like maybe in other spaces. Further down the Mason-Dixon, but for us to be as heavily Black centered in leadership, you would think that we would be further ahead. We got a lot more ghettos and communities. I hate to call them ghettos. We have a lot more community spaces that still look the way they did from the 70s. How the hell does that happen when you got a predominantly progressive Black leadership? I don't know. But anyway, so
are you putting any videos up of marching?
Yeah. So
well, tell me
Mickey,
when you get there.
Okay, cool. Mickey, I just want to get that video back up, right? Because I think it's important that we also study what it looks like for other Black leadership. Specifically, this is the mayor of Chicago. And this is what our citizens are saying that they want our mayor to be, even though we know there are different challenges and different supports. But listen to what he had to say to his people about a very important upcoming event.
To folks that are getting ready to celebrate Mexican Independence Day starting in Pilsen this Saturday.
Yeah, let's celebrate strong. I'm not intimidated, and no one should be.
So you're not asking people to stay home?
Why would I ask people to stay home? This is Chicago. It's beautiful. Here's what we know about terror. Terror is incited to intimidate people and to interrupt our way of life. That's what this administration is attempting to do. You should celebrate. I'm going to celebrate. I'm asking the city of Chicago to come together and rally around one another. Why would we allow someone who is auditioning to become a dictator of a democracy to intimidate the soul of America, the city of Chicago? So we're going to celebrate. We're going to stay and remain firm and focused as a city to make sure that the federal government and the president of the United States of America knows that we are a very proud city, and all of us are going to come together to ensure that the interests of our people are always protected and affirmed. Thank you.
Listen, good people, if I was in Chicago, it would do my heart proud to hear that.
Yeah, hood infected virus. I heard that.
We got a lot of that running around, Brother Elliot, for sure. But to Mark's point, like I get it. Like our mayor really doesn't have that same kind of room and space to be that person. But I think that like even if it was something that was not televised, that was personable, you still are a resident of the District of Columbia. And you do have onus to be able to operate and have conversations outside of that. DC is not as big as people think it is. Okay? Here's the secret. Surprise, DC is not as big as you like to think it is. If you see one person in one quadrant in the city, you are very likely to see them once or twice or more after that. We are very much giving below the Mason-Dixon city country. Okay? And with that in mind, there are things that our mayor could do to help her make us at least believe that she is community centered overall. I don't know, Anna, what you would think?
Oh, you talking about am I mute? Okay. You talking about a mural? You're talking about can she do something more? She
I mean, I'm
can.
just saying, and like, we had the example of what black leadership is starting to do. And let's be clear, like some of it is performative, but when I hear the mayor of Chicago speak, something part of my heart believes it.
Well, I don't know if y'all watched Don Lemon, but Don Lemon was we've been having a lot of protests, and Al Green, God bless his heart, he was at the protest talking in front of the Union Station, and he was talking about like why he should be out of DC, leave these people alone. And so then Don Lemon was able to pull him to the side and talk to him, and he had a real candid response as to why a lot of these politicians aren't doing anything. And it didn't feel like an excuse, but you would think is an excuse. An unfortunate part, Yogi G, a lot of these politicians are paid through billionaires, through a lot of people that can bring, because campaigning is very expensive. Nobody ever talks about that. To run in an election, you need money. And a lot of them know that if they start talking a lot, they're not going to have the money to run. And so it's like a catch-22. It's like the unbalanced. Our politicians are only going to say but so much because they're afraid. They're afraid that the people that support them monetarily, not us, not the everyday person that goes and votes. Your vote is just as important. But the reality is that money that they give to these politicians is what gets them out there to be noticed for us to vote. Because a lot of us are not into politics. A lot of us don't read, don't know the candidates. You could put 50,000 commercials. And if you go back to Trump and Kamala's campaign, Trump told you everything he was going to do. And people sit here and still voted for his behind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know reading is a little faux pas these days, and it's considered to be. But if you happen to be nostalgic, like I am, and like to put your fingers to a book or listen to it, there's a wonderful book that talks to that very point called "Winner Takes All," and it was written by, I cannot pronounce his name, and perhaps I will work with Mickey and Brother Elliot to see if I can make a little addition to the book club list. But it talks exactly about that, how like even for your grassroots organizations, I know that like us, we have 16,000 nonprofits that are here in the District of Columbia specifically, of which only 373 of those directly service the city of the District of Columbia. And I know that Flint has talked about how they mystically, magically have gotten all of these nonprofits. It's no different than what we got going on here. And what we learn, or what you will learn, should you take on the task of reading this book, is that big entity owed money like the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation, the Koch brothers, the old money like the Fords and stuff like that. They start baby companies, and they will take money to invest into these nonprofits that are grassroots and boots on the ground so that they can maintain an ear in the space of change. And they also, with the criteria that you have to adhere to for some of these grants, they still keep onus over what works get done. And that's why in our communities, it seems like a forever work because they are literally slow walking the process. Sometimes with us knowing and sometimes with us not knowing.
You gonna go into the chat?
Hmm.
You gonna go? Can you see the chat?
Oh, where we starting at? We're gonna start with spring.
Start at spring heron and then keep going down.
See, Otis, I'm trying to get you paid. But Otis is acting up right now. So we gonna start with spring heron. That is why you need to vote and educate yourself on the right candidate. That's true. You know, reading is fundamental. Anybody still know that? Riff? It healed me when DC was trying to get me out of here. PACs, political action committees. Is that something that's just to Flint, or is that okay?
No, that's everywhere.
That's everywhere.
In winters, that is exactly what we got going on here. Scared to talk because they want the money behind them. So put a thought out there, Yogi G. The issue is if people do not have the money to back them to run, is that an excuse? Or how do we hold them accountable to say? And I feel like that's what's going on with our mayor too, because she has signs all over my neighborhood. She's running for re-election. But when you see her talking, so I don't know. You got any thoughts on how they can give throw the hat up? You know, like the guy in Georgia? I forgot where he was when they got into that fight. He threw his hat up in the air. It was like a signal. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Give a signal. If the hands are tied.
Well, before I answer that, we got
Montgomery, Alabama, where it's from.
Montgomery, I couldn't remember. I know it was somewhere down south. I couldn't remember. But that was a signal right there. That for the rest of my life, I'd be like, just throw your hat up. God damn, just throw it up.
Well, before I tap in on that, you see what Mark said?
Oh. The greatest example of that is Clarence Thomas, Geechee to the core. Didn't even speak English growing up. Spoke Geechee. He took that money and now he speaks like a Brit. Money is a problem. You're right. But the laws haven't changed. In order for you to run on a campaign, you have to pay a lot. I remember when I ran for my little ANC spot, I didn't take no donations. People were trying to give me donations. Even people running telling me to take donations. I said, no, I can pay for my own printing. I can do that. I don't want to take any money because sometimes when you take, this ANC is real, real low in the total poll in DC. You know, you're a neighborhood commissioner. But to take money, sometimes you take that money, you're making deals with these people. And you got to hold out and agree with them. And then when you go against them, next thing you know, they got you on the listserv, talking bad about you, lying about your character, talking about your past. It gets ugly in politics, as y'all know. It gets very ugly. Yes.
You know what's crazy? I'm sorry. I just got a message on my phone when I came across my screen because we have these listservs. For each community has their own listserv. So our neighbors, you know, that's one of the perks of being a mixed company, gentrified company. White people, they love their listservs and they love to put it out there in the chat so we know what's going on. And unfortunately, it was just a missing child notification that just came up. So we're gonna have to check into that. Went to say that it was called the Montgomery Brawl. How can we forget it? It is a day. It's like that time. It was a day in September. I won't sing it because Mickey said we get paid, but y'all know how it go. It is a day we will never forget, the Montgomery Brawl for sure. And IFG1 said, understand that if a person is led by the devil's evil spirit, they won't do you right no matter what color they are. I have to agree. You know, money is the root of all evil. And if I didn't see it from my own eyes of being in this space for 15 plus years, I might be like, I don't know, you know. But I think that it is a good segue. I'm going to take the positive side of what we're dealing with now. And it's a good segue for where we're going to go before we have to wrap this up. is I think that reassessing our level of dependency on our government is necessary. And how much of that we can come up with by galvanizing resources within our own community would probably benefit us really well in these spaces. I don't, in my personal capacity, I'm not really a great person that likes to beg for anything, right? And that's in my personal spaces and also, especially in my political spaces, especially when I had to give you my vote in order for you to be where you are. And I say this often to my friends, and they laugh, and I'm just like, if I knew that my vote was going to be used for niggas to shimmy down the Potomac, I'd have thought better about that. Oops, excuse me, that word came out.
I don't like.
Um, you don't like that word? Listen, we can have another discussion about that word, but I say this. I use it with the ER because it comes in all colors, shapes, and sizes. It is the indication of behavior, not character, at least for me and how I use it. But we'll say that for another day. But I
No,
think
no,
that,
we don't need to save it. There's a reason why when you said it, and I know what you're saying. But real quick, Mickey, can you put that video? It's funny that you said that because literally the video that I was going to share. Mickey, can you put the video with the guy? Because this is what's going on around us. No, that's not him. I don't know who's that.
that's one of mine.
It's the guy, the one I gave you with the young guy. You want me to hit like on it so you can remember which one it is?
I'm finna get it for you right now, Aunt. I had Yogi stuff up by accident. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, real quick, we're getting into this place where we when we use certain words, it's only for certain communities to use it. But when we freely talk amongst others and we use it, sometimes other people use it and they shouldn't. And this video right here is a reason that as to why I don't like it. Not because you said it. It's just I don't like it because when he describes what that word means, and I never heard anyone describe it like that before. He had went viral because of this word being said to him by people currently right now in our communities. Every day we walk, people are freely saying racist stuff to us. And there's no debate about it. It's like, you got to take it. And I grew up in a time back in Gen X, a long time, when we talk about multi-generations. Well, it was normal for us to say honky and the N-word, and now times have changed. Go ahead, Mickey.
Somebody in the Twitch chat said, "Why did you get so hurt by N-word?" Genuine question. I'll give you a genuine answer. People who look like me used to get eaten in this country. People who look like me used to have parts of their bodies cut off and fed. People who look like me used to get used for alligator bait in this country, and we couldn't do anything about it. So when people say it's not that deep, it's always that deep. It will always be that deep. People used to be able to say that word to me, and everybody else would just clap. And then if I said anything, I might end up in a tree. That's how it used to be. That's how it used to be. If I can make sure you get punished, I'm gonna do it. And I'm not finna apologize to nobody for that. Maybe just leave it next time.
All right, Mickey. Go ahead, Yogi G. I just had to share that.
I give clarification because I said it the other way around. Not the ER, but the A. And maybe, I know Dave Chappelle had some thoughts on it. Richard Pryor also had a moment where they had a moment of reflection, where they chose not to use that word. I'm not using it as an excuse that is programmed in my DNA. It is how I'm programmed to identify fuck shit. And so,
That was just
with
a
that being said,
generational moment. That's all I was sharing. Generation, how we look at it.
I agree. You know what I mean? I want to be better about how I address certain things. And so, from you or the chat, if anybody got a better way for me to say that black people want some fuck shit and not use niggas, then, I'm here to learn. So, moving on. Um, Now, we will end on a good note, right? Now, everything is not doom and gloom in DC. I am quite proud of my city, our city, these DC streets, because when I tell you they have been showing up and showing out, I mean that with all of my heart. And I think that we're going to be better. I know that we're going to be better people because of it by the end of this, right? Whenever that is. Here's the thing. Now, a little background on me and Anna. Anna and I together have probably 15 plus years of advocating for our community, organizing for our community, going out here testifying, touching points with our leaders, teaching our youth how to engage with community and how to learn about having pride and showing up for the city that you decided to make your residence. Okay. And so, even much so that this weekend was a big time for us. We had all kinds of marches and things. Anna was working out there. I led a training on DC Civics and got to meet some of our students from Howard University. It made my cup so full, y'all. And we just want to leave it off with just showing y'all the power of how community can make things shake. If you are willing to put your biases aside and honestly have a real life conversation that, hey, maybe what's not impacting me today may impact generations after me. And that's what I'm doing it for. You can do it a little bit for what you got going on right now, but the major work and why we do is for the generations behind us. I love my sons to pieces, but one thing I don't have a grip on, it's God's good timing. And you never know, even for the young or the old, when your ticket is going to get punched. So you better make it worthwhile while you can. And so I sent Mickey a video of the turnout from one of our marches that happened on just this Saturday. Damn it, Otis, the video.
He gonna get you.
I know he is.
Oh, the volume. Does it have volume? Okay.
Our brother Elliot advocating for
Mhm.
Mick. We love Mick. Ain't nobody
I
mad with
know.
Mick,
Hey,
brother.
Mickey, can you get that last video I sent you with the march? Show another group that was out here marching.
Let me see, because y'all been sending me these videos left to right, and y'all ain't telling me who want to show this first.
Oh, now you just gotta say
Oh,
something
my
because brother
foot.
Elliot fighting for you in the chat.
No, I was just going to, I just got, I had to mention that. What other march you talking about, Anna?
I just hit like on the messenger. It's the last video I sent you.
I think this your crew or something, Anna.
This your what?
This your crew.
This my crew.
Yeah, this got to be your crew or something. You show is everything. This got to be your crew or something.
I don't know what she's showing, so I'm with y'all. I'm looking in the chat.
Some nonsense.
No, you ain't got the brother Elliot. You don't got to hold Mickey down. He all right. He talks cash trash when we not on here.
So that was just another group. You know, we had the veterans out here, and I'm excited for all of the groups that are out here. There's just not one advocacy There's a lot of groups out here that are literally marching for change and to free us. Go ahead, Yogi G.
I mean, you know, I hope that seeing some of this community work is helpful uh, to everybody here in 810, right? Like, I want you to understand that you don't have to depend on your government. I know that when it comes to dollars and cents, there is a right and a wrong. But there are some things that we're learning here in DC that we can do. I was talking to Brother Elliot today about how I was going to be more intentional about getting into learning the skill sets about agriculture. We have several community gardens here in DC that keep families fed, so that we can be able to start getting ahead of this thing where they might cut our SNAP benefits, and there might be a lot of families who do not know how to eat, or how to obtain food to be able to feed their families. So we're teaching our families how to sow and grow. And it's a great thing because everybody brings a little bit of something. If you got extra gloves, if you got extra scissors, they house all of this at the garden so that there are no excuses to why community cannot be built. Um, we've had several organizations, Anna and I being part of one of many, that are intentionally teaching people about how to organize and not just digitally organize, but organizing offline, how to create community, how to be able to navigate and get to your community should we get these lines cut. You know, God forbid one day y'all go to log in to anything and you're not getting nothing, and let alone getting to be able to talk on 810 and talk about how we build community and things like that. And so I think that starting in that space, having the hard conversations with each other, it's a great starting point, and just kind of it's been helpful to me to be in shared space to talk freely about the biases that even I have, being somebody that has spent so much time in organizing and get to know other people, and just working past those and how we can be able to support each other. I'm not saying that we gotta keep going into other people's spaces and forcing ourselves on that. But I think that we all can agree that under the banner of humanity, there are some things that we can make happen. And so let's see, it's 8:59. Let's look at the chat. Brother Elliot said, I'm not there for that part of you in audience. So he said he needs to be removed from office and replaced with someone who makes sense for everyone. Grassroots is the most impactful and important. And then he says, send me the book when you have the opportunity, please. I will. I will make sure that you get that so that we can get our people here on 810 up and running and ready for community. I do have one last video that I would like for us to end on, but I want to make sure that I check in with Miss Anna to see if there's any last words on her part.
Well, you can run the video and then I'll say my last words after your video.
Oh, she was show off. She ain't even trying to give me the last word. All right, bet. So, Mickey, if you will, it's my last video that I sent you, dear sir. I do believe. Wait, let me make sure because I don't want you to start showing out here for these people in the chat. Yeah, that last video that I sent you, brother. If you would put that up for me.
You ready for me to play it?
Yes, sir. Thank you so kindly.
I got
The revolution will not be televised. That was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film. It'll just be something that you see, and all of a sudden you realize I'm on the wrong page, or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. The revolution.
Only you look a little confused. I know it was a lot happening right there, but did you hear what
I
he said?
couldn't really hear what he was saying, so that's why I was giving the look because it was going in and out. So can you go back and say what he was saying?
Yeah, I know it's like a squirrel. I could see on your face you was having an ADD attack.
It's like, what is he saying?
So if you ever heard these famous words, I feel like every Black person goes to this, where the revolution will not be televised, right? And that can be led with many interpretations, but from his own words, what he was saying is that when he was speaking about the revolution not being televised, he was talking about how the revolution starts in your mind. That's why it's not going to be televised. You have to be able to first consider the things that you need to change to be the example to the community that you want to see changes in. And a lot of the things that we talked about at the end of this podcast today are things that you can consider moving forward. If it's beneficial to you as the person, and is it beneficial to the community that you're looking to change? And so, I just wanted to share that little piece while everybody's making it the new hotness to say the revolution won't be televised. And you can interpret it in a different kind of way. One, the revolution won't be televised because we might not be able to click onto this internet to see it. But then the revolution is not televised because it is something that you have to take as a personal accountability pledge that you need to work on you first and then work on community second or simultaneously, right? That's something that I'm being accountable for. As I said, learning about my brothers and sisters that like to garden. It's not my jam, but I'm learning because I want to be able to feed my family and stay in a community with people who are not DC natives. Because while you may not be born here, you are still a community member. So I would be cutting my nails to spite my face to not honor that relationship and build on that. And then just because I don't have a desire to be a part of a community that doesn't want me to be a part of it, doesn't mean that I don't have them be accountable for the impact that you're having on our community. So those are a few of my thoughts. Go ahead, Anna. You got the last word.
I thought you was gonna keep on going. Did you say? So I'm messing with you. You know I gotta throw the jokes. Now I'm sitting here because I was hollering because while I'm on here, Cosmo has ran out the door and went outside into the darkness. And thank God I have a child that's able to get him. So my Cosmo is a beautiful, fat, chunky little black cat who I love dearly, and he is off the chain. And I'm gonna leave you on this. Sometimes I feel like Cosmo. Sometimes I want to open that door and just leave and not be in this city. But I encourage you all that no matter what is going on around you, love on each other, regardless of what we look like, what we talk like. And just remember that the war that they're trying to put on us it is not about all of us fighting each other. The war is about people with money getting more money. And so I pray that you focus not on these stories that you're going to start seeing putting us against each other. And I'm talking about black, brown, and white, and poor. That's all I want to leave you with.
All right, listen, we're going to give y'all a treat since it's Sunday and we not on our normal time. Spacey Sprockets, Otis, you got anything to say to the people before you get back to them on Monday morning?
Bye.
People. Winter said love on each other and drink a cut water. We gonna get Winter that cut water
my apple juice. I'm gonna drink my apple juice.
I got my regular water, but maybe we can get a cut water deal when we talk about that A10 merch. Now we can go. All right.